All right, welcome into another day in our daily Devos in the Psalms. Pastor Rick here. We are rocking and rolling our way. Okay, maybe not rocking and rolling. Maybe we're just taking it slow and steady because that's the way. That's the way you got to go. But we are here in Psalm 22, so we'll go ahead and just jump in to the text, and we're just gonna. This is a great psalm. I really love even just the setup of the little introductory phrase here, from suffering to praise. And I think that's a journey that a majority of us have to go on at some point in our lives. We have to take moments, seasons of suffering, of challenge, and we have to find our way to getting to praise because, man, suffering can be a complicated road. It's like a furnace that exposes all of the kind of broken things in you, and oh man. But one of the biggest ways that we discover who God is, and C.S. Lewis, C.S. Lewis said that God whispers to us in pleasure, but it's like a megaphone, like shouts at us in suffering, where if you ever wanted to hear God's voice, if you ever wanted to really get to know him, man, suffering is one way that God can really come through. Now, it can also be a season that really pushes someone away from the Lord. So I think reading Psalms like this is really encouraging because you get to see that you're not the only one, that other people have suffered too, and how they handled it and how they drew near to the Lord in that season. So let's go ahead and jump in. My God, why have you abandoned me? Why are you so far from my deliverance and from my words of groaning? Now, these are also the words that Jesus said while he was on the cross. And most likely he was actually trying to point people's attention to the entire psalm because that was how they would call out a psalm. If they were all going to sing a psalm together, the very first line of the psalm was basically how the psalm was identified. They obviously had not put them together in a book format and had them numbered, 1 through 150 or anything like that. So when he was on the cross, and he called out, my God, why have you forsaken me? Why have you abandoned me? He was most likely pointing people's attention to this psalm. So interesting to think about that as we go through. So, my God, I cry by day, but you do not answer. By night, yet I have no rest. But you are holy, enthroned on the praises of Israel. And what a great reminder in the midst of again, really challenging declaration there. I cry by day, but you don't answer. By night, yet I have no rest. Then he reminds, but you are holy, enthroned on the praises of Israel. And I think even shifting his attention to say, you know what, you're enthroned on the praises of Israel, so I should be praising you. I should find my way to praise, because if I get my way over to where I'm praising you, it creates that throne, that place for you to sit and be present in my life. Our ancestors trusted in you, and they trusted, and you rescued them. They cried to you and were set free. They trusted in you and were not disgraced. But I'm a worm and not a man, scorned by mankind and despised by people. Everyone who sees me mocks me. They sneer and shake their heads. He relies on the Lord. Let him save him. Let the Lord rescue him, since he takes pleasure in him. It was you who brought me out of the womb, making me secure at my mother's breast. I was given over to you at birth. You have been my God from my mother's womb. So here, just setting the stage for how long he'd been walking with the Lord. Like, he's like, from the very beginning, I was turned over to you. And I interesting little, I'm a worm, not a man, scorned by mankind, despised by people. Everyone who sees me mocks me. And there is a good bit of like prophetic feel to a lot of this psalm. Kind of, it's frequently been referred to as one of the messianic psalms, one of the psalms that talks about Jesus. But it would definitely be like a double fulfillment one, where it had definitely the present meaning of the author, but also kind of a prophetic declaration. Don't be far from me, because distress is near and there's no one to help. Many bulls surround me, strong ones of Bashan encircle me. They open their mouths against me, lions mauling and roaring. I'm poured out like water. All my bones are disjointed. My heart is like wax melting within me. My strength is dried up like baked clay. My tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. You put me into the dust of death, for dogs have surrounded me. A gang of evildoers has closed in on me. They pierced my hands and my feet. I can count all my bones. People look and stare at me. They divided my garments among themselves, and they cast lots for my clothing. So here again, you see some word pictures and some tone there that sounds an awful lot like what Jesus was going through on the cross. And it's probably, twofold. One, I think, just thinking about our suffering and being encouraged by the fact that you're not the only one to have gone through something, to be going through something. And so sometimes I feel like it's one of the biggest tactics of the enemy is to get you to feel like you're the only one that's ever gone through this. You're the only one that's going through this. Your pain, your suffering, your challenges are bigger and worse than anyone else's. At least that's what he tries to convince me of all the time. And so knowing that you're not alone, I think is such a huge thing. So that's one piece of this, but also then considering the messianic kind of effect of this psalm is to like meditate a little bit about what Jesus went through for you, and just kind of meditating on what he suffered for you, how much he loves you, kind of what a big deal that is. And also, kind of cool to see that prophetic language in there, hundreds and hundreds of years before Jesus came and to die on the cross. So, but you, Lord, don't be far away. My strength, come quickly to help me. I love that he's not given up on it, even though earlier in the psalm, he's like, man, you don't listen to me. Where are you? And so I love that he expresses where he's at in his feelings. Whoops. Let's see. Yeah, sorry about that. Got a little messed up on my text there. But you, Lord, don't be far away. My strength, come quickly to help me. Rescue my life from the sword, my only life from the power of these dogs. And they didn't really have pet dogs back in the day, so dogs, they were not warm and cuddly. They would have been more aggressive and rabid a lot of times. Save me from the lion's mouth, from the horn of wild oxen. You answered me. And so, come on now, let's go. I love that. I love that there's that. And then so then God answered him, and what does he do with that? So I will proclaim your name to my brothers and sisters. I will praise you in the assembly. You who fear the Lord, praise him. All you descendants of Jacob, honor him. All you descendants of Israel, revere him. For he has not despised or abhorred the torment of the oppressed. He did not hide his face from him, but listened when he cried for help. So it's like, so here's the reality, folks. I know that when we were going through this, it felt like he was far away. It felt like he wasn't there. It felt like he wasn't hearing. But let me tell you, he has not despised or abhorred the torment of the oppressed. And he has not hid his face. And he heard when we cried. Come on. I will give praise in the great assembly because of you. I will fulfill my vows before those who fear you. The humble will eat and be satisfied. Those who seek the Lord will praise him. May your hearts live forever. The humble will eat and be satisfied. All the friends of the earth will remember and turn to the Lord. All the families of the nations will bow down before him, for kingship belongs to the Lord. He rules the nations. All who prosper on earth will eat and bow down. All those who go down to the dust will kneel before him, even the one who cannot preserve his life. Their descendants will serve him. The next generation will be told about the Lord. Come on. How many know we're not saved to be comfortable, to be appreciating what God's done just for us, but we're saved to pass it on to the next generation. Who do you have in your life that is in the next generation that you're sharing these things with? Who are you equipping? Who are you filling up? Who are you pouring into? And that's a really, really healthy question for us to ask, because the nation of Israel wasn't selected because they were awesome, and they weren't selected so that they could just enjoy the presence of God. They were selected so that they could be witnesses to the whole world. And the church is much the same way. You know, we're not called to get into church buildings and be comfortable and have great Bible studies, though those are all good and welcome. But God's called us to speak the gospel, to share the gospel to the next generation, to be told about the Lord. They'll come and declare his righteousness to a people yet to be born, and they will declare what he has done. And so come and declare his righteousness, boom, and also declare what he has done. And that's where, like in the whole month of November, when we went through our Thanksgiving journal, it's one of the greatest things is to go back and remember, what has the Lord done? What has he done for me? What has he done for us? Document that, journal that, record it, remind yourself, rehearse it so that you can declare it to the next generation. I love it, to a people yet to be born. That we would, and I think then that requires that we're writing stuff down, so if God's put a burden in your heart, maybe to write a book or something like that, so that the work that God has done in your life gets preserved to the next generation. What a beautiful thing. What a beautiful thing. So there you go. Hope you have a great day. God bless you today, and we will see you tomorrow for Psalm 23, kind of a famous one. So I'm not intimidated at all. All right. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.